Hello and welcome to the Busy Mum Show, the show to help moms and their families thrive. I'm your host, Dr. Leonaura Rhodes. And while I'm not recording the Busy Mum Show, I am helping women and their families as a health and happiness coach and author of Beyond Soccer Mom, Strategies for a Fabulous Balanced Life. So today on the show, I'm delighted to introduce you to Susan Vernicek. I'm going to read her bio. Susan is founder of Identity Magazine, author, confidence creator, and identity energizer. And Susan is on a mission to empower women to accept, appreciate, and achieve within themselves and within their lives. And most importantly, she's mom of 6-month-old twins. So hi, Susan. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and I'm really excited.
It's great to see you. So, Susan, you have a very busy business life. How are you managing that with your 6-month-old twins?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it was, people are going to hate me for saying this. It has been really easy. It has, surprisingly, and I don't know if that's because everybody told me how difficult it was going to be. So I was really prepared for the extreme, and it's been, in my eyes, pretty darn easy. We've had so much luck with having such great babies. I mean, they are really good. I mean, they've been sleeping 12 hours a night since month 2.
Wow.
But to be honest, they hit 6 months. They're like 6.5 months now, and now I see the challenge. And it's definitely tough, but you know, it's been an adjustment, and there's been so many tools and you know, organizational tips that I've gotten and received that I've just put in place to get things done and to keep achieving and keep improving who I am as a mother, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And you know, nothing's ever easy. There's challenges and obstacles each and every minute of the day, but I am blessed with being able to have accomplished already so much within the past 6 months of having a set of twins.
Yeah.
As you may hear in the background.
That's so funny. And you're right about what you said. I think many mothers neglect themselves, and as you know, that's kind of my mission, to try and help mothers look after themselves when they're in that period of being an active mother, because so many women neglect themselves in that time and put themselves at the bottom of a long to-do list, and we really need to look after ourselves because our kids need us to be happy and healthy and fulfilled.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you're doing that right from the beginning.
Yeah, well, and you know, and I messed up because a week after they were born, I mean, I held a conference. They were born June 27th, and I had my second annual Boulder conference on August, I think it was 16th or 14th. And a week after the twins were born, I actually got Bell's palsy, and I'm still recovering. So there's a prime example that my body was shutting down, and even though I didn't think I was, you know, tired. I was on a high of being a new mom, of, you know, having the conference. I definitely wasn't resting enough, and my body reacted with, you know, Bell's palsy.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely, you know, I didn't succeed 100% in taking care of myself, even though I talk about it all the time. I wasn't paying attention to any of the signs. And they started before I even gave birth, and I ignored them. So it's definitely important to pay attention and take care of ourselves. And even if you think you are okay, I think it's important that I do a check-in every week. And, you know, I kind of pay attention to what's going on with me and how I feel. And, you know, you just have to pay attention.
I agree. And so you mentioned the Bold Her conference. Tell our viewers about your exciting conference. Is it once a year that you hold it?
It's once a year, and right now we're actually going through a little rebranding.
Yeah.
But I had the first one in 2012, and then we took a year off because I got married, and then I didn't want to take the second year off because I was pregnant. So I had a fantastic partner, Jennifer Tuma Young, and we had our second annual. And yes, the goal is to have it every year. And it's all about empowering and, you know, tapping into your boldness, activating your boldness at any level. We have speakers. We have about 5 speakers. It's very interactive. There's video, there's music, there's journaling, there's poetry. It's not a typical conference where we get speakers who just speak.
Yeah.
You know, you're very engaged and doing hands-on activities that we don't normally take the time to do at home. You know, you don't normally take the time to do a vision board on your own, or you don't normally take the time to sit down and answer some self-reflecting questions about who you are and where you're going in life. It's a challenge. So having a full day workshop that provides the opportunity for you to take the day for you to answer these questions and take the time and reflect and connect with other women, you know, that's what I love about the conference, is because it gives you and other moms the time, the dedicated time, the day to just it's for you.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
And it's in Pennsylvania, is that right?
Correct. Well, it was this year, but we rotate. The first year it was in Morristown, New Jersey, and then we found a location sponsor. Actually, the venue where I got married, she was intrigued by, you know, who I was, what I was doing, and I told her about the conference, and she said she was the location and lunch sponsor for the event, Stroudsmore Country Inn. Yeah. And it was beautiful. I mean, they offered to do it again. They want to be the sponsor again, but it is a difficult location.
Okay.
You know, it's right over the Delaware Water Gap. So people think it's really far.
Yeah.
So we had about 75 attending women this year, which was great because the first year we had 60.
Okay.
So I don't know where we'll be next year, so we'll see.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, I know Identity Magazine well because I'm one of your writers. Yes. But tell everybody else what made you set up an online magazine and what's the mission of the magazine?
Absolutely. So the mission is to help women get all A's in the game of life, accept, appreciate, and achieve within themselves and, of course, within their lives. And I started because I went to school as a graphic designer. I had not an ounce of business in me. I didn't take any business courses. And I was a graphic designer for a medical company in 2004. And I wasn't too happy because I had moved back home from living in London for 3 months and traveling the world. I went to South Africa, I went to Dubai, I went to France. I was, you know, living the life. It was awesome. I did not want to come back, but I had responsibility, so I had to come back. So the job that I had as a graphic designer, we created these visual rating scales for doctors for like Botox. I was manipulating faces in Photoshop, and these doctors were using these scales. So say you wanted to go and get Botox, you know, lip for your lips. They would look at the scales and they would rate you. So 0 to 5, and they would see where you fell and they'd see where you'd want to go and all that. I was creating those scales with my hands and the tools in Photoshop. Completely fake, right?
Yeah.
So with that, I started to pay attention what was going around with media, magazines, TV, what my friends and family were so criticizing themselves, criticizing others. And I'm like, I just realized, you know, there's nowhere where women feel good, where women can be happy with who they are, flaws and all. I'm like, well, every time I read something or I watch something where we're talking about body image, we're talking about models, we're focusing on how to lose 10 pounds in 10 days, you know, we're you know, watching the news and following celebrities and invading in their privacy. And it's just, you know, I wanted to create a safe place for women to feel perfectly imperfect, to be able to embrace their flaws and all. Everyday women, experts, non-experts, share their personal experiences, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and just, you know, be able to be us. and not feel like they need to change in any way. Like that's the main key, is I want you to come to Identity Magazine feeling okay with who you are and the journey that you're taking, because nobody is taking the proper journey. You know, we all have our own journey, but sharing them might help somebody else. You never know. It could help one person.
Yeah.
It could help 5 people. It could help hundreds. You know, so you never know. And I think it's so important for us to share the good and the bad and the ugly, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, we need to connect. We need to support one another, and we need to stop comparing, because that is not going away. And I feel like it's getting worse, especially with social media. You know, people are not as open to sharing the bad. You know, they're always sharing the good. So then we're seeing everybody's great, fantastic days and great, fantastic success, which is awesome. But, you know, I think it's important to share your down days and you're not so, you know, high moments. You know, we all have to face challenges. I mean, that's part of life. Like, so let's share them.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that, because in my book, and when I coach and when I do my presentations, I share that I had very serious depression when my boys were, I have 2 teenage boys, when they were babies, and people are very often very surprised that I share that. And I share that because I felt very alone when that was happening, for one thing, but also it's really, really common. And you know, the statistics of the number of mothers and women who suffer from depression at some stage, it's just, you know, it's almost every woman
Oh
suffers.
my gosh, yeah, I definitely had it too.
Yeah, and if, you know, as you say, if we all kind of pretend that life is all rosy and, you know, everything's perfect and the sun's always shining,
Yeah.
um, and it makes other people feel inferior.
Yeah.
And I sometimes, like you said, go on Facebook and I think, oh my goodness, if I was depressed right now, this would drive me crazy. It would
Yes.
be like
I know.
everybody else is having fun apart from me, but it's just such a veneer,
Yeah.
and it's really not healthy, as you
I
say.
agree. I agree. I agree. And you know, and that's one of the things I really try to work on, is being transparent. You know, I just did a workshop in Arizona, and one of the feedback that I got was, I love how transparent you are. I mean, I do. I share it all. I've had so many challenges within life, and I'm so sorry. She's excited. Uh, you know, and I share about, you know, I've had tragic in my family. We've had murders, we've had death, we've had abuse, we've had infidelity, I've had miscarriage. You know, there's so much. And if I don't share that, what good is it doing myself, keeping it bottled in? And I'm not helping. I could help somebody else. And, you know, and that's what's important in life, I believe, is connecting and supporting one another. And because we get up every day, we're living. I mean, this is life.
Yeah.
You don't want to go through it alone. You shouldn't have to go through it alone. And, you know, and you know, that's what I believe.
Yeah. It's interesting that you said that. When I was in the middle of my very bad depression, I read a book that kind of totally changed my mindset, and it's a book called The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama. And he tells the story of a woman who lost her only child, and she went to Buddha and begged Buddha to give her child back. And Buddha said, if you can find mustard seeds from 3 people who have never suffered loss, then I will give you your child back. And of course, she traveled for several months and couldn't find a single person. And, you know, that realization that pain and loss are not personal, they're inevitable parts of life, and that everybody goes through them at some stage. Um, was really an eye-opener for me. It sounds really silly, but when I was in that, I felt so alone. And it was really empowering to realize that the suffering that I was allowing myself to be in was an option, and
Yeah.
that, you know, that there was a way out of it, and that happiness could come from within me. And that was kind of when I started my journey of, training to be a coach and all of that kind of thing. And it's so great that your magazine is the embodiment of that. And there's some great stories in there and interesting perspectives, and so
Thank you.
it's really cool. So tell me, at the end of the magazine articles, you ask people to answer 5 questions. Do you know those off the top of your head?
Yes. So it's our Identity 5 questions, and they were created. They're now part of our brand. I mean, that's my signature workshop. When I go out and do workshops, it's a very interactive with video and journaling and music. Yeah. And it's all about these 5 questions called the Identity 5. So I believe it ties everybody together, the writers who are experts and the writers who are women who aren't really writers but are sharing their personal experience. It shows that no matter where we are in our journey, we're still all vulnerable. We're still all developing. We all have coaches at different levels, and it just shows that we're doing this together. But the Identity 5, I realized I created them years ago when I figured out how did I succeed? How did I get out of my negative times when I was that graphic designer? Because I definitely was low self-esteem from moving back home. I didn't really have any friends. And then I was manipulating my then 25-year-old face, because I was actually a guinea pig for one of those rating scales. So I was staring at myself 40 hours a week and, trying to find wrinkles and stuff. So I developed these questions on, 65 pounds heavier too, because I was living in London, wasn't working out, just partying, drinking, traveling, eating everything, it was the obvious, it was going to happen. And so I learned to accept where I was. I was like, because I was fighting it. I was very, very negative. And I realized one day when I had started the magazine, I was like, I need to have acceptance. I need to just breathe and stop fighting myself that I'm 65 pounds heavier, that I have this job. I need to realize where I am in this moment and why. Okay, I'm here. This is what's going on right now. Accept it. Not everybody gets to travel the world, right, at 25 years old. And once I was able to just accept and find the acceptance and, soak it in, you're able to appreciate. And that's the second topic of the question is, what is it that you've learned to appreciate in life and within yourself and within your life? And I was able to then appreciate who I was, my journey, what I was doing in life, and appreciate my family, my parents for taking me back in. I just went down into a list. I wrote down all about accepting. I wrote down all about appreciation. And once you accept and appreciate, the doors are wide open for achieving, right? Yeah. So we achieve every day, but I think it took it to another level. It just opened up all the blockage and the hesitation and the excuses. So those are like the main three A's. Get all A's in the game of life. Accept, appreciate, achieve. And there's so many ways that you can approach, which I teach in my workshops, with the coaching sometimes when people come to me. In the online articles, you can see how people answer them. They answer them randomly, or I answer them, excuse me, I answer them depending on my article. So I'll share my article, and then the answers are accordingly. Yeah. So it helps me with a little bit more closure. And then the 4th question is all about our imperfections. We all are flaws, which really aren't flaws. They're our character, our personality. And so I try to teach women to pay attention to their imperfections and learn how to embrace them as who they are. There are ways, there are women who will list imperfections or flaws that I don't approve of. Like if somebody's like, well, I wake up every morning and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm not happy. No, I don't want you to embrace that. I want you, that's something to work on. Yeah. But where something like, I have a bigger nose. This is what I see. I have a bigger nose with a bump, but I would never get that fixed. I would never, ever have surgery because as my children grow, who knows who they're going to look like? Like I want them to see that. I want others to see that. I don't want to change who I am. I have to learn inside, deep inside, to accept my features. I mean, I might think that I have a big nose, but mostly everybody else thinks it fits my face, you know? And that's an internal. You can't, I believe, depending on the circumstance, but, you know, changing physical, you know, attributes or features isn't going to change the inside. You're going to, you know, and I know many of women who I have interviewed that have had surgeries and they still aren't happy, and they realized after, you know, and I'm like, I wish you guys would just go and teach people that, you know, getting breast implants might not make you happier. And actually there's a book, The How of Happiness. So for all your viewers, The How of Happiness, I'm going to butcher her name, but it's by Sonia Limbrusky. You might have heard of it, but Google The How of Happiness. It comes right up. There's science behind happiness.
Yeah.
And they say, you know, 50% of happiness is DNA. 40% is how you think and how you act, which is huge. It's a huge chunk. And 10% is circumstance.
Yes.
Only 10% of your happiness is circumstance. So whether you get surgery, whether you think you're going to be happy with more money, you think you're going to be happier if you get married, you think you're going to be happier if you're living somebody else. Not really, because it's only 10% of your happiness. It's the 40% that you need to work on each and every minute of your day. So I thought that was amazing. The book is by my bed. I read it all the time. I bring it everywhere with me because I was just so in awe with the science behind it and that breakdown of the numbers. So yeah.
I haven't heard those statistics before.
Yeah.
So okay, so we need to be finishing up soon, but could we finish? Do you have any tips for new mothers on how to kind of balance life and look after themselves from your experience so far?
Yes. So, you know, obviously it's different for every mother. I mean, I was expecting the worst. You know, everybody told me as soon as my kids get in a routine, it's going to change. And they actually haven't. You know, they're 6 months, and since they were 2 months, they have been on the same exact schedule. I have not given in. You know, I constantly put them up for their naps at the same time, whether they sleep or not. It's our all time now, break time, right?
Yeah.
So I realized, you know, I dabbled in so many different things and tools and tactics, and I found that taking care of myself at 6 o'clock in the morning before anybody else gets up is what I need to do. So I go to the gym. I found an accountability partner. That was the first thing because I was not getting back into it. And I had a fear of joining the gym again. I don't know why. I think it was the commitment. Yeah. So I found an accountability partner, and we check in every week for me to go to the gym. And the best time's in the morning. If I don't do it in the morning, I will not get to it. I'll make up excuses. I'm so busy, blah, blah, blah. No excuses. Get up, go, get it done with. I feel so much better. And one of the tips is, you know, with my accountability partner, I said, I'm going to start 2 days a week. I'm not going to go all in because that's when I fail if I try to go all in. Yeah. So it was 2 days a week for a couple weeks. And then I said, okay, I got that down. I'm going to do 3 days a week. And then it was 3 days a week. And now I'm up to 4 days a week. But sometimes I'm back to 3, and that's okay. So start small, but you have to find your time. And I suggest, no matter what, I think for everybody, it should be first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I really think even if you're not a morning person, I think you can become a morning person. I really do. Because I think first thing in the morning, the way I feel after is just amazing. And you don't have it hanging over your head all day.
Yeah.
You know, you just get it over with, and it's your time to think, release, and then you go back home and you take care of your babies, you know, your husband or significant other or whatever, work, and you go on. So that's the biggest tip is I really think is figuring out, adding in your time into the busy schedule. And then with work, obviously, whenever I had the downtime, when the kids were napping, you know, that's when I would get to work, and I would have a list, a to-do list ready to go. So I knew what I was doing, because you don't know how long they're going to nap for. So definitely make sure you have a plan for that day. And when you can get to that, knock them off. And obviously I do a lot of work at night now, and they go to bed at 6:30. Every night they're in bed at 6:30. And I know that then I sit down with my cup of tea, my glass of wine, my husband's there. You know, if we're watching TV, we're watching stupid TV. So I might as well work while I'm watching, you know, what on TV is so important. I need to pay 110% to, right? So I'll sit at my computer and I'll get work done. And I just go through my list. And I think those are the best things that have been working for the past 6 months.
Sounds like great advice. So thank you, Susan. I'd love you to share with our viewers how they can watch, how they can get in touch with you, the website for the magazine.
Yes, it's very simple. They can just go to identitymagazine.net.
Okay.
And my email address, if they want to email me, I'm easy to get a hold of. It's Susan@identitymagazine.net.
Excellent. So, well, thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing for women and the community. And there's a huge need for the work and for the mission of the magazine, as we were saying.
Thank you.
So thank you on behalf of all of us women.
Well, I thank you for having me on the show. It's been such a pleasure. And, you know, and thank you for being a contributor to the magazine. We're always looking for writers. So if any of your listeners or viewers, they want to write, share their stories, they're more than welcome.
That's cool. Well, thank you again, Susan. So
thank you.
If you enjoyed this show, please head on over to thebusymomshow.com. And like and subscribe this video, and there's lots more shows on the website, so head on over to thebusymomshow.com. Have a fabulous day, and bye for now.